Hello. This is your tutorial to show you how to make your witch's bows. Just to show you what you've got in your box, all of your strings are cut to length. You've got a spell jar. This one's got lavender, but each one will be different. You've got a little stick, some charms, big bows, and a collection of small bows. Okay, so there's a couple of ways to do this. I'll show you one way with this bow. So grab your bits of string. You're going to have a lot of shorter bits and one long bit. So initially you're going to work with the shorter bits. Get the ends all together so you've got a middle point. And then you're just going to wrap it around the stick and pull through the tails. And then once you've kind of got that into place, it doesn't have to be exact because they'll slide along the stick a little bit. You're going to divide those 4 strings into 3. So I tend to keep the coloured bits together. You do it however you want. It's your witch's bows. So you'll have 2, a 1 and a 1. And then you just start plaiting. And this will also help to keep the string in place. Then once you've plaited down a little way, you're gonna be able to add on some charms. Now, because this is a really organic material, it's really easy to work with, but what you'll find is that some bits of string are sort of thinner than the others. So when you decide that you are ready to put a charm on, have a look at the ends of the strings that are available and just kind of pick the thinner bit of string because it's just easier to poke through the charm. And if you give it a little twist as you're pushing it through in the same direction as the string is wound, then it will just be a bit easier to get through. And then if you slide it up the string and carry on plaiting, that charm will be held in place. Just keep on plaiting all the way down until you're happy with the length, and then you're gonna tie together the middle and one of the outside strings together just in a little single knot to stop it from coming unplaited. The next bit is you're just going to pop one of the strings through the top of the bow and just tie it in a double knot. It's really simple, it doesn't need to be anything fancy, just make sure it's nice and secure. Where the string is sort of got a rough finish, it grips really well to itself, so you don't have to go overboard. It will be secure if you just do a simple double knot. Then when you're happy with it, just grab some scissors and snip off those extra little tails of string. And that is your first string in place, your first bell in place. And you can just pull the bell straight, and there you have your first bell in place. And this is the other way that you can do it. This is the way that I prefer to do it because it gives you a little bit more flexibility. So if you grab 2 bits of string and you're just going to push both of them through the top of the bell, and then make sure the bell's about halfway, well, pretty much exactly halfway down. And then again, divide it into 3. So you'll have a 2, a 1 and a 1, and then just start plaiting. And the reason that I prefer to do mine this way is that where the bell is attached, there's no little knots and things, and it just looks really neat and it feels a bit more secure as well. And you'll see that when you get to the other end, you have a little bit more freedom to sort of change the length of the string. So when I make my bells, I tend to not have them all at the same height. I like to have varying heights, and then that way they just kind of like clink together a little bit easier. So you can see on this one as well, I'm just looking for a thinner bit of string, and I'm just going to attach one of the smaller bells a little way up on this one. And then once I've sort of decided where it's going to go, I just carry on plaiting, and that will be held in place. So now that this is the length that I want it to be, I'm just going to do what I did before, is just tie the middle and an outer string together just to stop it from coming undone. And then I am just going to tie it onto the stick. And again, because of the type of material, it just needs a double knot. So once that's in place, then just tighten a knot, and you can slide it along the stick as well once it's in place. And it does look a little bit scruffy at this point, which is kind of fine because it's a very sort of organic thing. These sticks are literally cut from trees in my garden that have been pruned back, and they're just really lovely sort of natural looking crafts to make. And actually, once all of this is done, the long piece of string, you'll see that we use that later to cover up any knots or bits that we don't like the look of. So now we've got two of the main bells in place. I'm just going to use the same technique with the third bell and attach that to the string in the same way as I did the second one. And then we're going to move on to the smaller charms and the little spells and things. So what I do with these is I put whatever I want on this single bit of string, and then we're just going to twist it. And if you twist into the hole, as I mentioned earlier, it's just kind of easier. So if you look at your string, you'll see that it's twisted in a certain direction. We're just going to keep on twisting in that direction until it's really, really tight. And then what you'll notice is it will twist around itself. Now you can tie the end down so that you've got two hands to twist, but I have just jammed the other end in my mouth because it's easier. Don't put between your teeth because it's squeaky and it doesn't feel nice. So once you've twisted it where you want it to be, if you bring the ends together, you'll see it spins around itself and it will hold itself in that position. And you can move the charms up and down. Whatever you have at the bottom, in this case it's the spell, you'll want that at the halfway point because that will be the bottom of the piece of string. And then you can move it all around by sort of spinning it around the string. So once you're happy with the length and where you've got everything positioned, then you can just tie a little knot in the end of the string, just to make sure that it doesn't come unraveled. And then you can tie it onto your stick. So I have done mine. So you've got 3 big bells, and then in the gaps in between, you've got the smaller bells and the little charms. But as I've said before, you can distribute these and set these up however you want. This is just sort of showing you how to kind of put it together. Obviously, you can put yours together however you like. I was just here to show you how you can attach the bells and how you can attach the strings and essentially what you've got in your pack. But your bells can look any way that you would like them to look. This is just how I have chosen to put mine together. And again, I'm just going to use a single piece of string to pop these last little bells and charms on. And I have taken the same skillful approach by just holding one end of the string in my mouth and twisting it until it starts to kind of twist up on itself. And then once it does that, I hold the big bell, because that's the bit I'd like at the bottom, in the middle, and then just hold the 2 open ends together and it will just spin together on itself. And then what we've got is 5 strings coming down off of the stick. And once you're happy with the length of them, you can see actually I made the 2 smaller ones slightly shorter and they're all tied on securely. Then you can just snip off the extra bits of string that you don't need. And this is why I prefer to do it where you tie it around the string rather than the bell, because it just gives you the option to change your mind on length and stuff, which I actually did end up doing with this one. So once all of those extra little bits are snipped off, you are ready to grab your super long piece of string. So with your long piece of string, you're just gonna get one end and tie a knot, but feed the tail through a couple of times just to make it a little bit more secure, and then slide it on to the end of your stick. I don't know why I had decision paralysis as to where I was going to put this. I had the option of one end or the other, but I overthought it. So then once you've got that on the end, make sure it's nice and tight. You can hold that tail in place, because actually that will just be hidden by the fact that you're just going to wrap this string all the way along. I realised afterwards why I couldn't make the decisions, because I'm left-handed. So now that I've got myself comfortable, you can see that I'm just going to adjust to that. There will be a little bit of stick poking out the end, but that doesn't matter because it's pretty. And then you're just going to wrap this string all the way across the stick, and what you'll find is that covers all of the knots, and all you're going to do is just make sure that you're going either side of the strings that are hanging down, and you just make your way all the way along to the other end and just avoid getting the strings caught up. And then when you get to the other end, you're just going to tie a really simple knot around the string. Now you are going to make your handles. So again, this is just one suggestion. If you fold your string in half and you're going to do a hoop around the stick like we did with the example on the first bells, and then you can just slide onto the stick and pull it tight. And then you can repeat this on the other side. And then what you'll have is 2 bits of string that just come straight up from the stick. And from here, you can just tie those in a knot, and then that will just be your handle. Another option that I'm just going to show is that you can get a piece of string and you can fold the top over and create a little hoop at the very top, which is fine. It depends what you're going to hang it on. If it's going to be something that's quite chunky, then you want as big a handle as possible. This example I'm going to show you, it creates quite a small hoop to hang things on. So just be mindful of where you're intending to hang the bells. Generally, because they're designed to be protection, you would want them hung somewhere near a door or in your window, and the idea is that it banishes any sort of negative energy from entering your home. I've made sure that each kit includes quite a few bits of spare string. So what you can do is when you're making the handles, rather than having a single piece of string that loops around itself at the end of each end of the stick, you can put 2 in and you can plait like you did on the bells, or you can use those extra bits of string to create the loops to hang things from. And then once you've trimmed off any bits that you don't want, what I like to do is unravel the little loose bits, because it just makes it look a little bit sort of more worn and a little bit more intentional, and they're quite cute and fuzzy when it's been pulled apart like that. Then once you're happy with how your bells are going to hang up, then you are ready to place them wherever you would like to keep the bad vibes out. Enjoy!